Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Back here at halftime, Hofstra and Drexel. Well, next year there'll be a new man behind the bench for Hofstra men's soccer. It's Stephen Roach. He sat down with our own Kevin Dexter. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Oh, great stuff to hear from Stephen Roach, the future head coach of Hofstra Pride men's soccer. We come back, stats, highlights, and analysis, and plenty more, only on MSG Network and FloCollege. Awesome. The regular season finale in CAA men's soccer. The Pride have already locked up the North Division crown in Richard Nuttall's final season. As for Drexel, a win today and they get into the CAA championships, but the Pride have been fire-breathing down the stretch, winners of 7 consecutive games. Alongside Tom Verdi, I'm Dan Savarino. Appreciate you joining us on MSG Network and FloCollege. Well, this game obviously means a lot more for one team than the other in terms of their season, but it still matters for both. It's also senior day for Hofstra.
Yeah, no doubt. Senior day for Hofstra. You're cruising, 7-game win streak. You don't want to go into the playoffs suddenly with a loss in your last game. And on the flip side, couldn't be more clear for Drexel. It's win and in. They have to win. No other result will matter for them. They're going to throw everything at Hofstra here today.
Well, the Pride's first loss in conference play was to Monmouth on this field. Last time out, they went to New Jersey, and they totally took care of business.
Yeah, they played really well, and, a Monmouth red card in the first half, that wound up helping out. Hofstra completely winds up dominating the second half as Monmouth down to 10 men. 15-3 the shots in that second half, 4 goals in that second half, and as you see from the highlights, a couple of those coming by the air. And, that's something that Drexel head coach David Castellanos was really, impressing to us that it was going to be a big factor today, how they defended those aerial balls and aerial duels. And, as you could see, Laurie Goddard getting into the mix, and he's one player that there's no doubt Drexel's going to be ready for, right? You lead the CAA in goals, you lead the country in game-winning goals, lead the CAA in points as well, forming a really nice tandem with Burko as that 1-2 punch. And I think, for Drexel, stopping Goddard is going to be probably, you have to say, number one on their roadmap for how to get a result here today.
Yeah, you can't say much more about Laurie Goddard since he's come here to Hempstead, but on top of it, preseason player of the year, and right now, all signs pointing to that he will end up winning that trophy. Well, as for Drexel and how this group is going about things, the last time these two teams met, it was just a 1-0 win for Hofstra at Vitus Field, and it was a guy who doesn't normally score goals. It took him over 1,000 days to score goals in between.
Yeah, Owen Barnett, right? First goal of the season, first goal since all the way back in 2022. I mean, what a time to get it right. A clutch moment and a big moment for Hofstra at that point. Kind of set Drexel on this little skid that they've been on, and they're still trying to recover.
Yeah, this Dragon group has had some trouble scoring as of late. That has been one of their biggest issues. This is a group that has a brand new coach, lots of brand new faces, and a win today will move them on to the CAA championships. When we come back, the starting lineup and the first kick of the ball, only on MSG Network and FloCollege.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead as an Army officer.
North Division battle. Hofstra and Drexel. Hofstra is already in. They will be the top seed throughout the CAA championships no matter what because of how many points they have accumulated, 18 up to this point. Stony Brook is in as the 2 seed. It's either going to be Monmouth or Drexel for the final spot. Drexel wins, they're in. That's the only way they can get themselves to be playing Thursday night out at Stony Brook in the quarterfinal matchup. The South Division is still up in the air. It'll be decided tonight at 7 o'clock starts. Now let's get you the starting lineup for these Hofstra Pride who come in at 11-4 overall. And then the 6-1 inside of conference play. And this is basically the lineup that Richard Nuttall was expecting to really start the beginning of the season. Really anchored by guys like Santi and the young Jan Jevic and then Gil Orson on the back end. But maybe the one guy you didn't expect there was in between the pipes in Cervoni. But Armis and Francu, all pieces that he expected to take big jumps here in 2025. On the other side for Drexel, they are missing one key piece. Finn Vandenberg, the staple all season is what their head coach David Castellanos called them. Played a season-low 19 minutes last time. Normally he plays 90 minutes or more, so his starting lineup is much different with Leon Park moving into the starting lineup today, a spot that he has started only 5 times this season. But of course, keep your eye out for Tiago Lima, Bittencourt, and Morgan Worsford Gregg. Those are the top 2 scorers for this team, 3 goals each apiece. Starting goalie between the pipes for the Pride, it's Gino Cervoni out of Elmont, New York. Went to Cary High School, taking over for Sean Bohan, who got hurt after just the 3rd game of the year, broke his hand. Cervoni, who played just 1 game last year. It's his 3rd year with the team. He does have that championship pedigree, and he is the guy who will don the gold-yellow jersey, whatever color you want to call it, for the Pride in this one. And Rafael Bartel, they've gone back and forth with Owen Moore and him in between the pipes. He's now started 3 consecutive games, and he has been the guy that they feel at this moment is ready to go and lead them in this must-win game. Drexel in the dark navy blue kits with the gold trim and the white around it. Hofstra in their classic home whites here at Captain's Fields. The whistle blows from Stephen Cope, our referee. Kyle O'Grady and Kieran Foley on the lines. We're underway. Hofstra winners of 7 consecutive games. Last time they won 8 straight games was 1997. And remember, this game means just a lot more. Not just a little bit more, Tom. A lot more to the Dragons. Win, and they're in.
Yeah, already a playoff game for Drexel, right? Playoffs haven't started, but for them, this is a playoff game. It's win or go home. Basically, Coach Castellanos telling us, yeah, we're going to do everything in our power to throw something at Hofstra that they didn't see in the first matchup between these teams back in September and try to get a result here at a place where, as we know, Dan, it's very difficult for road teams to come in here and get results.
Yeah, Hofstra does not lose many road games here. They've actually dropped a couple of them early on in the year. They're 25-3-2 in their last 30 games. They had a 22-game win streak here at home, as they're going to get Goddard there for a foul with a good run. He's been red hot. This team just does not lose at Captain's Field very often. They dropped the first game of the year to an NCAA participant in Bucknell. They lost a late game to Monmouth, who, of course, they're hoping they don't have to see again. They beat them 4-1 already. So this is a place that is very difficult to play.
Very much so, a place where, other teams talk about Hofstra knows how the turf plays. They keep the ball really well. Really difficult for them to come in here. Obviously the CAA championship pedigree is another factor. They've played a lot of big matches here over the years, and just seems like they don't get phased here at home.
There's a little bit of a cool wind in the air. It was very windy this afternoon. Not as much now, but still some wind gust. It's a nice November night. Goddard to Barnett. The chip towards goal off the head of a defender, and it goes back out as it's taken back by Burko. He curls one wide left. Those two are 1 and 2 in so many different categories offensively, Tom, here in the CAA.
Yeah, just really a nice 1-2 punch between these two teams, as early on here we see Barnett testing this Drexel back line. And, one of the main reasons, or one of the main differences, I guess, that Coach Castellanos told us was Bartel, they feel better about coming for the crosses. He's the taller goalie, a little bit better in the air. They think Hofstra's going to play some of those long balls that they used to good effect down at Vitus Field back in September. So to me, no surprise to see Bartel in the goal and, of course, getting the early test there.
Alexei Armas with another chip and leads a ball up ahead for Burko, who's got a motor that always goes. And transfer out of Syracuse here on his third school as Gabriel Pacheco will throw it in on the far side. He has been a staple of this team for the last 3 years now. One of the 12 who was honored here on Senior Day, as was Barnett, as he sends one towards goal. And that's going to be a tough play, but still pulled in by Bartel.
And Dan, you mentioned Vandenberg being out, right? So to me, the interesting wrinkle that we're seeing so far is that Morgan Worsfold-Gregg, who's normally one of their attacking middies, he's the guy who they've deputized to play at center back alongside the freshman Camejo tonight. So maybe they're going to lose some of that scoring punch, but obviously Coach Castellanos knows this group better than I do, and he thinks that the best way for them to win is to get a guy like Worsfold-Gregg back there at center back tonight.
Well, Tom, it's something that you even mentioned to me before we got on the air tonight is maybe put a guy back there, spray the ball over the field in a must-win game.
Yeah, it could be a good way for them to build out of the back a little bit because we know he's got a nice range of passing. He's also one of their main set-piece takers and has been picking up some of his assists this season that way as well. So curious to see the game that he has tonight a little bit deeper in the park.
Val here against the Pride, who love to get out on the front foot always. That's been their MO, is getting out early and aggressively. As Richard Nuttall, as Bartel gets ready to kick it, final season, 37th year. This will not be his final game coached here. Hofstra again already clinched their semifinal berth by winning the North Division, and they will host next Sunday at the very minimum. So no reason for him to get emotional just yet.
And it's so interesting, right? I mean, not only does Hofstra have the 4 consecutive CAA crowns, so you're already kind of, as a player, right, thinking about, hey, we got to keep that streak going. But at Richard Nuttall's last season, I mean, I'm sure they've got to be thinking that they want to send him off, right? Another CAA championship, another trip to the NCAA tournament. And, I'm sure Coach Nuttall would love nothing less, but he's been a great steward of this program and, someone that all the coaches that we talk to always hold him in very high regards for how he's built this program.
Mork couldn't control it. Campisi now does. He's dispossessed by Mork. 2 goals this year against Penn and LIU were his goals. And so they're leading for it up again. Taken away by Santi. Pietro came on slow because of an injury as Orison will clear it out. He has been a staple in the back end for Hofstra his last year and a few games as he came on late in the 24 season. Hard slide tackle as Burko goes down. No call on the play. And Goddard questioning why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the referee maybe was a bit shielded from it, but I thought from our angle, didn't really look like Camejo got much of the ball there, so I think maybe a bit lucky to escape without picking up the foul. We'll see if I was right. Well, I mean, he did. Maybe you could say that the Hofstra player didn't get the touch on the ball either, but still, the question is whether he got there first and cleaned out the Hofstra player to make sure he couldn't get the ball. So pretty tough call, even on the replay. I thought bang, bang play.
Friendly fire as it hits Barnett and then goes towards the Hofstra bench. It'll be a throw in deep for the Dragons. And year number 2 for David Castellanos, 8th head coach in this program's history. He replaced Michael Marciano, who's now the head coach of Maryland women's soccer. Maryland is his alma mater, so obviously a dream job for anybody to coach at their alma mater. A guy who has a lot of experience, too. I mean, he was an assistant coach for this team. He coached at Chestnut Hill. He coached Division III, Penn State, Abington. He's a guy who has a lot of experience in this field and understands CAA soccer.
Yeah, no doubt. And also his experience as a player, won the College Cup with UConn. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he was very, reverential about the CAA, right? He talked about, he was an assistant coach here a few years ago, and he didn't realize that how tough it is to go into places like Hofstra or even JMU when they were back in the conference, or Elon, and get results. And he gave a lot of respect to how difficult this CAA is, and it's kind of become a gauntlet, especially when you're not one of the top teams. It can be very difficult, and trying to find a way to get Drexel back to where we saw them maybe 10 or 12 years ago when they were competing back for those CAA crowns.
He told us you don't really understand the CAA until you're in it, and already it's been a dogfight here as Goddard has had some jersey tugs, a lot of physical play in the first 7 minutes of this game. And another physical play as Alexei Armas is the guy you want out there for this type of physicality. He is dispossessed, and Jack Shannon comes away with the rock. the trailer. Pacheco tries to steal it back. It just kind of feels this is going to be a boxing match between these two teams. And if you're Hofstra here too, Tom, you got to be careful with that too. I mean, you don't want to say like give everything up at this point, but you also don't want to take any stupid cards or injury going into the championships.
Yeah, 100%. You want to make sure that everybody's available for those key postseason games. And you know, one of the ways that you could get into trouble is what we just saw. Shannon on the counterattack, a couple of Hofstra players trying to nick the ball off of him. Obviously, the Drexel bench was shouting. They thought there should have been a foul in there. That's where you got to be careful as a Hofstra player not to pick up one of those cards.
It is definitely intense. You can feel it already as Goddard with a run down the left side. Burko now double teamed. He turns the corner. Can't get past Camejo. Now he does. Some space, tries to fire one in towards the box, but it pinballs back and sent the other direction. Long run up ahead for Tiago Lima Bittencourt, and it will be their throw-in as it had to be cleared aside.
Yeah, and really just the one player up top there for Drexel was kind of going to be difficult to turn that into something. And, you know, you see a look at how difficult it has been for them to score, right, Dan? I mean, it's been over 300. It was 330 minutes coming into this game since they last scored a goal. So we've already played, you know, another almost 10 here. But the goals haven't been coming easy for them, still trying to figure things out. And obviously that's been a big factor for them, winless in their last 6 games, 3 draws and 3 losses, and it's because they haven't been putting the ball in the back of the net.
And the guy's been putting the ball in the back of the net a ton. Laurie Goddard tried to keep that one low, earns them their first corner today.
Yeah, I can't imagine that when you're having trouble scoring and you look at your next opponent and they've got 12 goals over the last 3 games. That's not something you probably want to see as a head coach, but Hofstra really has been cruising offensively and putting up goals in bunches, and I'm sure they'll be looking to do the same thing here today.
Goddard, who did have a goal last game. He said he has been red hot. Here comes the first in-swinging corner, far side, Campisi. Campisi looking for the head, and fanned on for the first clearance. The second one is back out to midfield. Armas will be there. Heads one back into the 18. Here's a good look for Burko, and it was offside.
And that right there, Dan, right, a good glimpse into why Coach Castellanos told us when we chatted with him earlier this week. It's not just the first ball that you have to deal with against Hofstra, but oftentimes the second and the third ball. So they make the initial clearance, and, you know, then Hofstra winds up sending the ball back in, and it's, again, sometimes 2 and 3 different balls that you have to defend, especially with the aerial strength of Hofstra. A lot of good size, the ability to play direct, some good players to send that ball in, and that's going to be a real challenge for Drexel tonight.
Santi gets beat. Here's a chance for Tiago, and Jevic is there right behind him. Boy, what a rookie year for Jan Jevic, leading this team in minutes. He has been very steady as one of the team's center backs this season. Quick touch along the near side. Gavas, Campisi takes it back. Orison puts it into the night sky, looking for Goddard, who loves to play with that physicality.
Yeah, Jevic's named to that Top Drawer Soccer freshman all 100 team at the middle of the season. So a couple of Hofstra players on it, also one player for Drexel and Jack Shannon. So, you know, some nice honors for some of these young guys who've been able to step in and make immediate impacts.
And there was Shannon, but the toss going to be Gavas, the sophomore, who has started now the last 5 and 10 of the last 11 games. This will be a goal kick for Gino, and we stay scoreless here in the 12th minute.
And you got to really see, you know, as we take a look at Jevic here, but so important, immediately made himself a big part of this team coming in from Poland. You know, we know Richard Nuttall loves to recruit those international guys who have played in, you know, those European academies and club setups and usually come in with a lot of experience. Hasn't looked a step out of place. He's been tremendous so far, leading the team in minutes, as you said earlier, and, you know, well-deserved, again, making that Top Drawer Soccer list for the 100 best freshmen this season.
He is averaging 88 minutes per game. 88 on the soccer field. Burko down the left side. Barnett with some room, sends it across, and looking for that right post. He had 2 guys, maybe intended for the head of Goddard. Again, is riding a 6-game point-scoring streak.
It's interesting, too. We haven't really seen Drexel play out of the back too much. It's been a lot of long balls of their own, as we see Bartel pushing everybody up and goes with the long ball. You know, playing out of the back from those goal kicks and keeper opportunities, that's kind of in vogue right now, but a little bit more simple and direct that we're seeing from the Dragons so far. And maybe no surprise on the road in a tough environment.
Ricochets off two heads. Tiago's and Orison's. Marnett dons that captain's armband, goes right into the body of Leon Park, the freshman, but he's all right. Park, the native out of Germany. And bringing in some recruits. You lose guys for the Dragons who were staples for the last number of years, getting themselves to the postseason, like a Patrick Short or Dominic Bachstein, both first-team selections. Capagna, who was a really stout goalie for them.
Yeah, Dan, I was pretty surprised, right, looking back at last season's stats and trying to figure out what they returned, and all I could figure out was one assist from Gavas. That was the only goal or assist from last year's entire squad that returned this year.
Some open space, Campisi now. He loves to dance here on the side, gets some room, sends it on and over the net.
You could see him a little bit frustrated there, kind of throwing his arms down after the play, but this is exactly what you want from him, right? Dancing in off the right, opens things up, gets it on that left foot, and obviously frustrated in himself that he didn't do better and forced the keeper into a stop.
On his third school, started at Central Methodist for 2 years, NAIA in Missouri, 2 years for the Zags, and was an honorable mention in the WCC last year, or actually, I should say 2 years ago. Transferred here to Hofstra. He's a guy who really can set up a lot of plays along that wing. They're gonna give a foul here against Armis. No card.
You mentioned it, a guy who's certainly not afraid to get stuck into a challenge. Plays a lot like his dad, Chris, a former MLS star, U.S. men's national team player, was such a force in midfield for the Chicago Fire and then the U.S. men's national team as well. And Lexi's got a little bit of that same bite that his dad did, certainly in his playing days.
And scored his first goal of the season on his birthday, which was here about a month ago. Headed right back by Santi. Turned up the field for Burko. Armis, pressure from behind, intercepted, throw in coming right next to Nuttall.
And just past the 15-minute mark here, Dan, right? I think Drexel has to be pretty happy with how they've played so far, right? I mean, Hofstra, maybe you'd say has the possession advantage, but so far hasn't been a ton of great chances. And, you know, now they have a chance. They weather the early storm, and now Drexel can try to settle in themselves and worry about getting some more attack going towards Hofstra's goal.
Santi misses his target. Picked back up by Francu. Francu, who's on that midseason freshman list from Top Drawer Soccer, was the highest one of all the Pride players. Francu's been excellent this year. They loved his game coming over from Australia. Knew that he really would adjust very nicely to this Pride team. And for a team that has so many different international players, 14 different nations represented on this group, they really always talk about how much they enjoy being with one another, despite the fact that there was some big turnover this year for this Pride core.
Yeah, I mean, I look back at some of the names they lost from last year, some names that were around for a long time. Infuso, you know, Rock Carlos, Baker, I mean, some really important names for this team.
Boy, almost a misplay there as Jevic has to get it back to goal. Nothing they could do but send it for a deep throw-in. It'll be right next to the corner flag.
It looks like they might be giving the corner here. It's hard to tell. Right now the ball is near the flag and Worsfold Greg is coming up, which to me might imply that it is going to be a corner because he's, as we said earlier, kind of their main set piece taker. It was very hard to tell from our angle as that ball was launched by Cervoni.
Leads the team in points with 11. Had a 3-game goal scoring streak in the middle of September. 6-game point scoring streak. But this team has struggled, like we said before, to put the ball in the back of the net. Just 2 goals over the last number of games. Back out Burko. He'll wait as it bounces off the carpet, now settles. Quick touch to Barnett, right past that CAA conference logo. The conference, the Pride, of course, have won the last 4 in. Last time Drexel was on this field, believe it or not, was actually in the CAA championships. It was a quarterfinal battle, a really good one, on a cold Thursday afternoon. I remember it like it was yesterday. Our executive producer, Kevin Dexter, and I were on that call, Tom. It was freezing, and it went to PKs, the first of 2 that day. Hofstra hosted.
There's nothing like postseason soccer in the Northeast. Bring your parka.
We love our vantage point up here on the roof. It does get cold, though, so. The cross. Not a lot on that clearance. Burko, who scored in his very first appearance in a Pride uniform, sent towards the right side. Campisi waits for it, settles it down. Stefano Campisi looking for a nugget. It goes! That's Daniel Burko. 10 goals for him in his first season and last as a member of the Pride.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too, Dan, right? That first chance to clear the ball, maybe not a lot of power on the header. It stayed around the box and allowed Hofstra to cycle it back in. They crossed it back to the near side, and then that ball after that went to the far post for the header goal. So that's kind of what we're talking about with Drexel, right? It's not only do you have to defend the first ball, but you got to get it up the field, start to get your lines pushed up, because otherwise Hofstra's going to have a second and third opportunity to send the ball back in. Great cross to the back post, and the header finds the back of the net. Really no chance for Bartel there, as we're going to get another look at it, but really good service from the near side from Campisi, and the header, enough power behind it. It was a good one, a little bit into the turf, and again, tough on the bounce for Bartel to keep that one out.
Daniel Burko, it's his 10th goal of the season, his 13th goal in Division I soccer. He started his career at Waldorf NAIA, but in D2 and D1, he now has 33 goals at the Division II and Division III level, because he had an unbelievable season when he was at Lincoln, a Division II school, in 2023. And this being his 4th school, and a place he definitely has made a huge impact for in his time at Hofstra. And that 1-2 punch is exactly like you said it before, Tom. He has been all season long. Here's a cross looking for another head, and that's a physical play, as Bartel was the one who also took a spill.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see more of that. I mean, obviously there's a lot more transfers happening in college sports, but I think coaches are also doing a good job of recruiting from some of the lower levels or the JUCO levels. So, right, you see a guy who in Division II is putting up 20-plus goals, some kind of ridiculous number like that. You say, hey, I bet he can probably do something in Division I. And so college coaches give him a look. Maybe they bounce around a little bit. It's not always a straight path through, but now here at Hofstra having a tremendous season.
On the counter, Shannon down the near touchline, gets a step and gets taken out hard by Orison. That will be a yellow card. So Thengil Orison here in the 20th minute.
We take another look at it too. I mean, just late, got there late, obviously, so Shannon was going to skip past him down the line, and it's kind of interesting too. Those two got tangled up a little bit before, and Orison kind of came up a little bit hobbled, and I just wonder if maybe in the back of his mind he thought, you know, next time that guy comes down the line, we'll see, I might have to give him a little chip as he goes by, and picks up the yellow card. He's got to be careful now.
First booking of the season for Orison. Back towards the top of the box as it comes from the back end of Haberl, the junior. Franku steers it with his head. Gets it to his intended target. And now not much room for Goddard as he was thinking to try and pass it. Instead just said, I'm going to take it instead. Tom, for Drexel here, I know obviously they're trying to always get on the counterattack. We've seen it already, but you need to win, right? It does not matter what it is. You don't want to also get into a huge track meet with Hofstra. So how much do you, put on Tom Birdie's coaching hat, how much do you get aggressive early on here?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? I mean, you don't want to open yourself up too much because you know how dangerous Hofstra can be, right? So there's always that kind of give and take of the more bodies you throw forward, the more vulnerable you're going to be, of course, to any kind of counters from Hofstra. But yeah, I think, towards the last 5 or 10 minutes maybe of this half, if it's still the same score line, I think they'll get a little bit more aggressive. And in the second half, if we're still seeing 1-0, then all bets are off. I think you don't want to leave it too late and not leave yourself enough time, so then they'll start throwing even more numbers forward.
This kind of feels like a game already with aggregate scoring, right? Playing down 1-0, needing the 2 no matter what. That's what it's going to be for the Dragons if they want to reach the CAA postseason, which would start Thursday for them, coming back to Long Island to take on Stony Brook. Again, Stony Brook, the 2 seed, already locked up that quarterfinal matchup that they will host.
And, you wonder, too, right, if you're Drexel, the longer this game maybe stays 1-0, does Hofstra maybe start to ease off a little bit? Something we mentioned before, not a game that really matters for them in terms of the standings. Obviously, they don't want to lose it, riding the 7-game win streak, but maybe do they take their foot off the pedal and let Drexel get on the ball a little bit more at some point?
Pinball's around in the box. Here's a bicycle kick wide left. Getting a little fancy out there, Pietro Santi, in his first year in a Pride uniform.
Nothing like a bicycle kick to get the oohs and ahs from the crowd, right, Dan? I mean, it's always tough to pull off, and, half the time the guy winds up kicking somebody on the other team, but this time it was a pretty clean look at it and a good swing, just didn't quite get the contact right to steer it on goal.
Civitavecchia, Italy is where Santi hails from. And talking to him early on in the season in August, and he even said, I'm happy to be here. The guys really have made things comfortable. Richard Nuttall was telling me, with Santi even right there, he goes, I think he could be one of the best defenders we've ever had. And that says a lot, especially considering the guy in his coaching staff, Sean Foster, might be that guy who owns that title.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it starts with Fozzie probably. And, hey, shout out Pearson Fuso, right,
yeah,
for his career and set the record for most games played in a Hofstra career, basically almost starting from day one, a local product here from the island. But, yeah, I mean, for me, I had the chance to see Fozzie play, of course, during his time as a player for the Pride. And to me, there was nobody better.
Just picking it out of the air was Bartel. Bartel, who hails from Germany, started 7 games last year, went 3-3-1, 3 shutouts. The year prior to that, a 4-1 record. But he has given up more goals against than the last 5 opponents. More goals against in the last game, 3 goals in his last 5 opponents. So, I mean, they're coming off a really tough game against Stony Brook last weekend. One where they did win the shot battle, but it was a physical game. There was 7 yellow cards, 2 of them only for Drexel, but they gave up goals early on and really couldn't come back at all and kind of pick up anything. And that's why Stony Brook jumped ahead to number 2 over Monmouth. And that's why we are where we are in the standings.
Yeah, and that was, again, that's one of the reasons I wondered, or I should say, if they might go to Owen Moore, because both of those 2 guys have kind of been, 1A and 1B, if you can even call it that, splitting a lot of the starts this season. And, sometimes based on training, sometimes based on the last game, how things went. But I think, as we said earlier, the combination of Bartel being the better goalkeeper for crosses and also having the experience of starting against Hofstra at Vitus Field back in September, I think probably helped, give him the nod as the starter here today.
Nuttall not too happy with that call on the far side as he gives it to the referee. Throw in here from Haberl and goes out. Last touched by a Dragon. Checo will have the toss just to the left of his bench.
I thought that was one of the best comments from Coach Castellanos. I had a chance to ask him about Coach Nuttall and say, hey, any good Nuttall stories from your interactions with him now, obviously in his last season here? And he said, couldn't be a nicer guy off the pitch. On the pitch, super intense, he said. And he said, but that's how I am, so I wouldn't expect anything less. So he certainly appreciated that, and was very complimentary of Coach Nuttall. He mentioned that Drexel actually kind of honored him before the game at Vitus Field for, of course, his storied career with Hofstra. And he said, also looking forward to seeing Coach Roach in the future, and mentioned that he also has already started to spin up a nice relationship with him as well.
And there's Richie with the shorts on, as always. Doesn't matter the weather, he will have the shorts on. And to quote my father, Bill Savarino, legs don't get cold. So that's always why he's got those shorts on. It doesn't bother him. Roach will hear from during halftime of this game. An interview with our own Kevin Dexter, the future coach of Hofstra men's soccer. Campisi wins the battle. He sends it towards goal, but not much on it. Bowled out quickly. Now trying to be pushed up the field by Gavis.
Yeah, I like that.
Play.
Go fast, right? If you're Drexel, some of those long balls down the field so far, it allows Hofstra to get back into their defensive shape and clear them away. So this time you start a little bit faster here and get your guys going. Unfortunately, doesn't quite pan out for them here. And we'll take another look at the cross, and just didn't really, I don't think, didn't get his hips around it. So, instead of the ball kind of bending back towards the top of the box where he maybe had some help, it winds up going a little bit closer to the keeper, and it's a comfortable catch for Bartel in the end.
Burko's goal, 10th of the season, the 19th minute. Campisi with the assist. That is assist number 7 this year. Came in today, 3rd in the conference in assists, 37th nationally. Been a real good addition on that right wing.
We've talked a lot about Bartel, but also, do want to give a shout out to Cervoni, a local product from Elmont, not too far away from Hempstead here, and a senior it's his first year as a starter. Really had to kind of, bide his time and wait around, see hopefully he can, a starting spot would open up, and it winds up coming due to injury, but he has stepped up and really embraced that next man up mentality, and he's been tremendous for Hofstra. So a really nice story for the Pride in goal this year with Cervoni.
.677 save percentage, 10 wins of the 12 that he has appeared in this season in between the pipes. As Campisi will stand over it in front of the Dragon bench after the foul. First head goes the other way as we approach the 29th minute of play. Barnett can't win the battle, but it'll be a tough play along the end line. Taken right back along the near sideline. Sprinting up ahead is Salvino. Gets the ball to Shannon, who tries to send a through ball to Lima Bittencourt. He has it. Matched up with Pacheco. Tiago passes off to Salvino again. Here he'll try and go one-on-one. Some help coming from Campisi, and now cleared away. Salvino looks up to the heavens, hoping that he would have gotten a foul out of it.
And that all started with that ball from Jack Shannon, and been really impressed with him, the freshman out of Houston, Texas, a guy that Coach Castellano said has been an unbelievable rookie for us. Someone who wants the ball at his feet, sprayed a great pass there, and you see Savino just trying to work something there along the lines, and not enough contact there to earn the penalty. No surprise, really, but he's a big physical guy, and that can cause teams some problems.
Burko gets there first, but a couple of 21s with a good battle. Slide tackle gets the ball back into the Hofstra end of the field. Jevic there hits it right off of the defender, and it'll go back the Pride way.
Haven't seen subs really so far in this contest, and I think for Drexel, kind of seem like they don't really go too deep on their bench, to be honest, and those guys are going to get probably most of the full 90, especially in a match like this where it's win and in for them. They want to keep their best guys on the field as long as possible, so not really a huge surprise, but will be interesting to see if either team has anybody on the bench that can come in and maybe change the game a bit.
This Dragon group, mentioned before, it's now 360 plus minutes without a goal, have not scored since the 28th minute against NJIT 4 games ago from Lima Bittencourt. Just 2 total goals in the month of October. That's 16 goals in their first 9 games. Well, it's not that they can't score, just hit a little bit of a drought. And here they need at least 2 goals. They want to continue their season.
I thought that was an interesting stat, right? The last 6 games haven't scored more than 1 goal in any of those. The 7 games before that, they had scored 2 goals or more in all those games. So we know that the team is capable of scoring, right? But perhaps right now just in a bit of a confidence funk and haven't been able to get things going. And obviously tonight, no better time to break out of it. You need some goals, and they're going to have to get 2 if they want their season to continue here.
Shannon, who is all over the field. He has been very impressive here in the first half, Tom.
No doubt, a guy who wants the ball at his feet, a guy who loves soccer. They told us, just really wants to play. Doesn't like days off. That's what the coaching staff tells us. He doesn't like days off. He just loves the game, wants to be out there, loves running at opponents with the ball at his feet, and really, as we said, as a freshman, been really fun and exciting to watch. As you see him now having a quick chat with the referee, but I'm excited to see where his career goes from here because it's really been a very impressive freshman campaign.
One-time Rookie of the Week back in late September, that has averaged 83 minutes a game, and here he picks up his 5th yellow card of the season. So Shannon a yellow in the 32nd. And Castellanos looking over, I'm sure not happy with the yellow, but also at the same time, not the smart thing to do in this type of game.
Yeah, no, and I think, if it still holds for the playoffs, I think 5 yellows, that's the 1-game suspension. So if that's the case, that would be a huge yellow card if I'm correct about that.
Rolled out left side. Goddard. Laurie Goddard. Beautiful ball to the left. Armis tries to cross it back to him. Mork sends it back to midfield. Headed on the other direction, and it was an offside against the Dragons.
Yeah, I think they're saying Mork came back from the offside position, or actually I think it was Salvino. He was the highest one up the field in that last instance.
Tough play out there. They love getting Bartel out along his the edge of his goal as much as he can. They want him out of his line, and this has been physical in this first half.
Yeah, you mentioned it before, right? Hofstra has been putting players on him and really challenging every aerial ball, making his life difficult. A few times they've bumped him and picked up fouls in the process, so it has been a very physical and demanding first half, and sometimes that can wear on a goalkeeper over the course of the game. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as the game goes on, but certainly, yeah, Hofstra has been unafraid to jump and challenge him on those aerial duels. 2
subs for the Pride, and the first 2 substitutes we will see today. It looks like Pablo Hempelman Perez will check in, and someone who has seen some more minutes as of late is Evangelos Christostomou, who started 10 consecutive games. He said in the beginning of the year could end up seeing him a little bit more. He ended up taking that starting role, ran with it as one of the outside backs. And now with everyone healthy on the back end, he's gone to the bench the last 2 games. Stolen away by Frank Koo. Beautiful play. Numbers for Hofstra.
Yeah, this is where you want to see Goddard in space with the ball at his feet.
Campisi in the 18. Campisi puts it low. He got taken out. The referee gave nothing on it as he is slow to get up. And hopping as he makes his way back. Shannon now works back to midfield. Goddard putting the pressure on. Goddard a striker, but someone who loves to be able to still work in that midfield, come back and make a defensive play, and then go the other direction.
Yeah, he likes to be in the middle of all the action. That's how I would describe him. Wants to be on the ball, and if he has to come back a little bit deeper in midfield to do it, he will.
And here he has the ball between his feet. Taken down, no call. And we've seen Stephen Cope referee games here before, and he usually is a pretty fair ref, doesn't go to the card right away. allows the physical play to happen.
Yeah, perhaps there he thought it was more of a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge as opposed to, you know, if it's a shoulder in the back, that's where you see the card usually.
And the best referees are the ones who know the circumstances of the game.
Yeah, that's the other part of it too, right? I mean, if we're going to treat this like a playoff game, then you want the players to be deciding it on the field. You generally don't want a lot of cards. You don't want the referee to constantly be blowing everything for a foul. So perhaps he's kind of going with that motto here tonight.
Here in the 36th, Campisi sends a beauty. Hempelman Perez, guy who plays with a lot of pace off the bench. Goddard now takes his time as he tries to go one-on-one with Bittencourt Lima. Excuse me, Lima Bittencourt. Just completely reversed that one. Pacheco. Back to Jevic. Barnett makes one step, and Santi exactly in midfield. Christostomu moves way up into the play, the outside back for the Pride here. Fanned on the clearance. Barnett will not be able to control it before it hits the sideline, and Drexel will sub momentarily. Let's go back to that Campisi play from before.
Yeah, I think the question for me was, you know, does he kick through the ball or does he kind of kick into the Drexel player, which prevents him from kicking the ball? And, you know, a little bit hard to tell from that one. Perhaps he did get some of the player, and I think, you know, maybe that's what we're seeing now with the official having another look at it to decide and make sure on the video review that that wasn't an obvious penalty. So will be a big call, obviously, for Hofstra, a chance to double their lead if they wind up going to the spot. But I'm not quite sure that there was enough evidence there to overturn it, but we'll see what the referee decides at the screen.
And if that happened, we would go backwards to that time. They would put time on the clock, and then they would end up taking a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I can see that, you know, any reason that he'd be going to the monitor at this point. As we'll take another look at it too, we'll see if we can see anything very obvious. I mean, you know, it's clear that he didn't get much on the shot, but to me, he puts the ball in. Maybe there's some contact after the fact. A lot of times referees won't give that as a penalty because the kind of cross attempt happened first. But also his foot, you could see his plant foot is sliding out just a touch as well. And so, yeah, to me, didn't seem like a penalty, didn't feel like one, and the referee agrees after the look at the monitor that wasn't a penalty. And you can see Campisi saying, he got me, but referee deciding no penalty at this time.
So we stay with 8 minutes and 41 seconds to go in the opening half. A must-win game for Drexel, win, and they're in the postseason. Hofstra has already clinched the top seed. At 7 o'clock, we'll have a couple of really important matchups down in the South Division that will decide who ends up either winning, coming in the second, and coming in third. No matter what, will be Campbell, Elon, and UNCW. And neither of these teams have seen them. This is the first year of the new format of the North and South Division, which really has helped a lot in terms of travel cost and just tolls on their body. However, you're playing a team twice in 1 year, and that is a very difficult thing to do, especially if you're going to have to play them 3 times in a year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, even the second time, right, it's Coach Castellanos was joking with us, you know, there's not really a lot of trick plays in soccer that you can come up with to throw in a wrinkle the second time around.
Gavis, and stopped by Santi. Christostomu looking for Burko. He heads it on towards midfield. He thought someone was making a run. Goddard was further back. Campisi picks off the pass. Santi, boot to boot, Christostomu.
And we did see a change for Drexel as well, you know, in that whole last sequence with Pachulis coming in on the right wing for Salvino. The only starter to return from last season. He's been a bit banged up. You can see his left leg looks heavily wrapped out there right now, so clearly fighting through something, but trying to give his guys a little something off the bench tonight.
Hasn't played in the last 2 games. Last time he played was against Monmouth. The cross steered back out to midfield. Campisi. Christostomu with some open turf. He now sends it in Jevic off the noggin. Goddard creates some space for himself as Francouz works in midfield. He'll flip the field. Getting a step, sending it on, stopped, no rebound. Hempelman Perez with a really good look from downtown, and it almost fooled Bartel.
Yeah, and I think you said it right, Francouz, with that beautiful diagonal ball across the field and just kind of opened things up. The Drexel player gambles, doesn't get there, and it winds up leading to a pretty good look for Hempelman Perez, and importantly, Bartel able to smother it and prevent any kind of rebound because it did look like there was a Hofstra player at the doorstep.
Good look for Hempelman Perez. Good look for us, the viewers at home. Shout out Brian Butler. Great shot there, Hofstra Sports Media. Foul in midfield.
And you can see the idea, right? Just wants to sort of bend it in towards that far post with a body flashing through there as well to just make life difficult for Bartel.
So
Laurie Goddard will take a seat. And he is replaced by Aaron Bozino, the German junior, with a goal and 2 assists this year. Really tenacious in midfield. Francouz. Now he moves up in the offensive play. Through ball on the money. Hempelman Perez. Pablo down the left side, throws on the brakes, and it's taken away. Really not much he could do, kind of caught himself. Not much room to work with anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe would have had to make that first quick decision. Instead, he kind of slowed it down a little bit, maybe to survey what his options were. And by that point, too many blue shirts around him. Didn't have the chance to get any cross away at that point. And, you know, but to go back to Goddard coming out, right, I think for Hofstra, a good chance here. You got the 1-0 lead. You know, you can maybe get some guys a little bit of extra rest tonight. You don't have to play them the full 90. Goddard can get a little bit of extra rest because we know how important he has been all year and how important he's going to be in the playoffs as we see another look at that last chance, which just didn't quite pan out there for Hofstra.
Christostomu back to go. Cervoni's long boot. Camejo. Worsford Gregg. Curious to see, obviously, if Castellanos will move him back up into the play. But oh boy, something just happened. And Santi just screamed in pain. This is not good. Pietro Santi went down hard and screamed. And when the clock stops, he will have to be looked at, but...
And the referee was playing advantage, and now we can see Santi is showing the mark on his side, so perhaps it was a stud mark there, which means obviously a high boot from a Drexel player that caught him and scraped him down the side perhaps, and we'll try to get another look at it, but it was a clear shout immediately. The referee saw it. He played advantage for Hofstra because Hofstra did maintain possession, so he let it play out a bit here, and now we have another chance to see it. You can see here he got in there first, no question with the head, and looked like he was caught by the high boot.
You can hear someone yelling out. I don't know if that's a fan or a player. He's got the marks on his side. Either way, it's still advantage here for Hofstra. They take it on the right side. Christostomu, short corner, his cross, and ricocheted on, but Burko couldn't get all of it.
Yeah, took a bounce off that Drexel defender, helped take some of the sting out of it, made it a much easier save for Bartel. But, you know, that's what you like from Christostomu, right? A player who does have that pace, can really fly down this right-hand side and get those good crosses into the mixer. That was a good one, and again, just didn't quite have the final product for Hofstra, but I like the chance set up there.
Hempelman Perez, Barnett. Down the left wing. Surveys. Checo moves up into the play as he normally does. Stolen. And a ball right on the money. Lima Bittencourt down the right wing. Lima Bittencourt flipping the field. Here's Shannon. Shannon curls it. Pacheco back out to midfield off of his noggin. Under 3 minutes to go in the half. Drexel looking to get something on with some hope before they go into the locker room for halftime. 4-on-4 the other way. Campisi works into the box. His cross doesn't get there. And now cleared out to midfield, as Jevic will just wait.
Really good header at the near post there for Mooresfold. Greg, it was a nice ball from Campisi, had some good pace behind it, and he did a good job right near that 6-yard box area. We'll take another look at it here. Made sure that that one did not get into the danger area.
Tom, I got distracted when Santi went down. Did I finish asking you a question about Worsford, Greg?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. As you were saying that, I was almost thinking the exact same thing. We saw him kind of, I think we must have seen it at the same time, him playing one out of the back. And I thought to myself, it will be interesting to see if they have another defender that they want to throw back there into the back line and get him further up the field. Because if that's really his bread and butter, getting into the attacking third and making things happen, to me, when you're chasing the game and you need at least 2 goals, I want that guy up in the play, up in the final third. And so I'd be trying everything I could to figure out a way to move him from center back higher up the pitch.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same page. It's many years of working together, my friend.
You said you're not a soccer guy. You're a soccer guy.
When I play FIFA, does that count? Christostomu. That's left. Creates some space for himself. Queens native. Good ball from Campisi. Christostomu. His cross. Back to midfield. Wars for Greg, his first boot on it. Takes a hop. Goes to goal. Under a minute to play here in the first.
And another situation, just as we were saying a moment or two ago about Christostomu and his ability to get down the right. That was a lovely 1-2, working it down the right flank, a great cross in. And I want to give a shout out to Levi Christie, the number 6, the holding mid in that Drexel team right now, coming back from midfield and making a really nice play to, again, make sure that that cross wasn't found by a Hofstra player.
30 seconds. Santi. Campisi intercepted. Francouz there with 20. Now he's it back the other direction. Bazana, that's what he's so good at. Forcing turnovers in midfield. And that ball is just out of his reach from Hempelman Perez. And that's how our first half is going to come to a close. So Hofstra, Tom, gets on the board from Daniel Burko. Drexel, they need at least 2 goals to continue their season. What are you saying at halftime right now?
Well, for Drexel, it's tough, right? I mean, we know Hofstra has already accomplished probably what they wanted to do, right? They want to score. They want to be on the front foot. They want to prevent Drexel from having much of the ball, and they were able to accomplish that in the first half. For Drexel, now this is the big problem, right? How do you get more of the ball? I mean, 0 shots in the first half for a team that needs to score and needs to win this game. So they're going to have to find a way to get some overload, see how they can get some more possession, and get some of their dangerous players on the ball in the Hofstra end.
When we come back, we'll hear from the future head coach, Stephen Roach. Back with more. It's Hofstra and Drexel, CAA Men's Soccer.
Apple Bank opened its doors over 160 years ago.
And back then, it was all about one-on-one banking. In today's world, banking's all about easy and convenient, and saving you time for the moments that matter.
We get that, but sometimes you need to speak with someone to make it happen. And at Apple Bank, that's what we still do. One-on-one service since the day we first opened.
Welcome to Apple Bank. How can I help you?
Easy, convenient, personal banking.
Apple Bank, your neighbor, your bank since 1863.
Hofstra Hillo means to me family.
Community of opportunities.
People.
A home away from home.
Tradition. Connections.
Religion.
Friendship.
For 75 years, Hofstra Hillo, the Center for Jewish Life on campus, has been serving the Hofstra community. Thousands of students of all backgrounds have participated in our weekly classes, travel programs, service projects, and holiday celebrations. Especially now, when students need us most, please support Hofstra Hillo. Go to hofstrahillo.org for more information.
QFA's 5-star offense maximizes client returns, while the 5-star defense generates additional current income while mitigating risk. To learn more, reach out to co-founder and Hofstra alumni Joe Rinaldi or register on their website at qfainc.com.
This is the CAA on FloCollege.
He sat down with our own Kevin Dexter.
The next head coach of the Hofstra men's soccer program is Stephen Roach, who will be taking over after now a decade here with the program. Will be taking over as the head coach next season. Stephen, thanks for a few minutes. What is the honor been like? How honored are you to be selected to take over this program after 37 years under Richie?
Very proud. Very proud moment for me and my family. As you say, been here for 10 years, and a lot of people who have made this decision, from President Poser to Rick to Jay to Richie himself, trusting me with his program. And then some, I know, incredibly important families, the Healy's and the Dempsters, I know will have had their say. So for all of them to trust me with taking over this team and this program, just very, very proud.
Well, as we said, you've been here for a decade now. Has this season been any different for you, knowing that next year is going to be your show?
No, not really. I think now, like at this time of year, we're very heavily recruiting, but I would be doing that anyway if Richie was staying. So yeah, just we're recruiting for the future always, but the focus is the current season. It's an extra bit of motivation to send Richie out on the highest of highs, but yeah, just it's any other year, and it's going pretty well so far.
Oh, what's it been like, working with Richie, learning from him over the last decade?
It's been amazing. It's been fun, I would say, is the first thought. He makes everyone around him enjoy what they do. He's been very good to me and to Fozzie, especially in terms of our development. He's almost given us the keys and let us run with it while he, oversees what we do, and every now and again he might correct something that he doesn't love, but generally he's let us run with it in terms of the players and the style of play. So a lot of our learning has been from mistakes that we've made, which I think is the best way to learn. But just seeing how he deals with people and the connections he has, that's the biggest thing I'll learn from Richie, is to just treat everybody really well and just have a smile on your face as much as possible.
What is the biggest piece of advice that he's given you? Or have you not had that conversation yet about taking over?
It's not just now that the change is happening. He's always giving us little nuggets of information. I think one thing that Richie's always done well, long before myself and Sean were here, is he's always surrounded himself with great people. And, you know, I plan on doing the same. You know, Fozzie's committed to staying, which is huge. You know, Sean is, I'll be the head coach in name, but Sean is just as important for this program. He knows that, the players know that, I think everybody knows that. So surround yourself with great people, which I plan to do, and, you know, enjoy coming to work every day, which he absolutely does.
So for Hofstra fans who might not know a ton about your background before you got here, what has this journey been like to be here at Hofstra now?
Yeah, so this is my 10th year here. I'm from Dublin, Ireland originally, and I moved here 14 years ago now. I was playing in the professional leagues over here. Fell in love with America, fell in love with New York. I've been in Long Island for all of those 14 years. As soon as I got here, I never wanted to leave. So essentially, I gave up the pro career to choose to live in New York, and it's the best decision I've ever made. I love living here. I've got a wife and 2 kids now, so very happy in my home life and incredibly proud, like I said, in my professional life as well.
What is your favorite part about Long Island?
Oh, good question. Just there's always something to do. In the summer, it's go to the beach. I'm not a huge go into the city type person, but every now and again it's amazing to go in there around Christmas time. It's great. My kids are getting a little bit older now, so I'm sure I'll be bringing them in to see the tree and things like that. Just always something to do. So many different types of people, so many different cultures, which I think our program embodies as well. It's great to be surrounded by so many different people.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Oh, great stuff to hear from Stephen Roach, the future head coach of Hofstra Pride men's soccer. We come back, stats, highlights, and analysis, and plenty more, only on MSG Network and FloCollege. Well, how about championship season here in the fall? Hofstra men's cross country, their first ever CAA title. Freddie Kipkoske, who earned the individual title in a programming performance on Friday in the CAA championships down in New Jersey. The first title for them. They joined the league in 2001, highest finish since they were a 4th place finish. And then he bested his teammate Abraham Longasiwa, who has been a real staple for this group, so congratulations to Hofstra cross country, men's cross country team on their very first title. Really, really impressive stuff. They'll be back at it in the Northeast Regional on November 14th. Well, as for Hofstra men's soccer in this one, it is senior day. 12 seniors were honored before, so always a great moment for the fans and the family members to also walk out with the players as they are honored for the final time here, at least in a Pride uniform, and coming out. And some of the guys obviously are not local, so their teammates were the ones who were joining them many times, but lots of fun stuff, of course, on senior day.
Always, yeah, and for the players too, Red, I think even the underclassmen, you always want to step up and play well on senior day, help honor those guys, and it's always interesting to see if the teams come out with a little extra juice. Maybe that helped Hofstra come up with that early goal, but always fun seeing some of these guys honored, and especially the guys like Goddard who have been such important parts of this team for the last number of years. It's always great to see those guys, the 4-year honoree kind of guys, really get their special moment.
Well, Hofstra up 1-0 in this game, and obviously a lot of physical play, a lot of things that we don't see pop up in the score sheet here. 7 shots, none for Drexel. That's something that definitely needs to be fixed going forward for the Dragons. Back with more in the CAA. One nothing lead for Hofstra as we get started for the second half of action. Well, Gino Cervone's day is done, and of all the dramatic things, Sean Bohen is back. Broke his hand early on in the season. He's back in between the pipes, started the first 3. He is the guy that they anticipated to be their starter throughout this season, a NAIA All-American last year on the first team, third team the year prior to that. Native out of Dublin, Ireland. So we will see if this is kind of his get-ready moment for next week. But either way, great to see him back on the field, especially after dealing with an injury so early on into his campaign.
Yeah, nice problem to have if you're Coach Nuttall, right? 2 goalkeepers that you can rely on as starters.
Well, Bohen, the big thing with his skill set, besides just being a pretty good leader overall, vocal guy in the back, it's his footwork. He really is good with moving the ball from the back end. He's got a booming kick. It's turned into goals a few times. So be aware of that going forward. Hofstra from right to left in their all-white home jerseys. Drexel in their road blues. Remember, win and they're in for the Dragons. Hofstra, though, has the lead through the first 45 minutes on Burko's 10th of the season. in the 19th minute of play, assisted by Campisi. And there is the old ball coach in his final home game. Put on the gloves now. I guess it is getting a little bit colder. Legs still don't get cold, but the hands do.
Yeah, if they made a statue of him, he'd have to be in shorts, right?
I actually think it should be that. That's what it should be. If they ever did that, just put it on the side next to the Pride patio, just him with his legs crossed, like laughing, having a great time. I think it would look great. Francu spins in midfield. Jevic, so patient in the back end, even with some light pressure. This is a missed pass opportunity from Hempelman Perez. Him and Burko not on the same page. Pablo, one of those guys who was honored before. A senior now from Toronto, Canada. Lima Bittencourt. Herbal. And to the steady Levi Christie, who has played a full 90 the last 8 games. And the missed pass goes wide. Past the end line, and Bohen will have it. All right, well, it is 7 o'clock, so we are ready to go here in terms of the South. UNCW and Charleston, William & Mary, and Elon. Elon wins. They win the South Division, no matter what, because they have the tiebreaker over UNCW. So let's try and really sort this out, Tom. Stay with me on this one, okay? As of right now, it's Campbell in first, Elon and UNCW as 1, 2, and 3 in the South. Campbell's done. Campbell has played all of their games here in the 2025 regular season. So Elon has the tiebreaker because they had 2 one-goal wins over UNCW, right? So they're both even, same amount of points, 12 points. So if they both win today, they both would, obviously they're still already in there, but it wouldn't matter. UNCW would end up going to the 2 seed, and Elon would go to the 1 seed. Campbell drops down to 3. If Elon loses and UNCW wins, UNCW will be the first place team in the South, and Campbell would be second. Elon would drop down to 3rd. So if both teams draw or they lose, then it stays exactly as it started today with Campbell, Elon, UNCW. So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces there, but it really does matter on who wins that game. But Elon has the clearest path to winning the South Division, which of course you want to do because you avoid that quarterfinal matchup.
Yeah, a lot more, certainly a lot more permutations and a lot more up for grabs, it feels like, with all those seeds still kind of in flux right now compared to the North, where we're just waiting to see whether or not Drexel squeaks in here.
South has always been a very tough division. Those teams, at least, have always been really tough teams and groups that Hofstra has played the last number of years, like the Elons, don't forget UNCW last year. The only goal was an own goal. Pearson Fuso didn't get credit for it. It's not like hockey last one to touch it. But he sent it from midfield and it turned into be an own goal. And that's how Hofstra hoisted their 8th CAA title, as this from Lima Bittencourt goes way wide. It'll be a goal kick for Bohen.
And so far, I think for Drexel, on the front foot a little bit more maybe than we saw at times in the first half. And we see Lima Bittencourt, a guy that usually you expect on the left wing. Well, now he's flipped around. He's inverting here off the right wing instead, and maybe a chance for him with that left foot to cut in on the left and really open things up for him that way. So we'll keep an eye on it.
Remember, Drexel needs a win and they're in. However, the Dragons have not won at Captain's Field in some time. 2012 season was the last time they won here. Burko, the left-footed cross will earn them a corner kick. They lost in PKs to Delaware, as I alluded to before, a couple of years ago. They haven't been here since then. But the last time that they played on this field and got a win was the 2012 season. And Sean Foster, who was an assistant coach for Hofstra, played the full 90 minutes in that game.
Wouldn't expect anything less. Full 90 for Fozzie.
Campisi, who right now has played every minute in this game, curls to the far side. Bartel has been very good at getting off his line and picking the balls out of the air.
Yeah, but the recent series history, even just to go further, not just here at home, but Hofstra 10-1-3 against this Drexel team dating back to 2013. So it's certainly been a matchup that has favored the Pride recently. And the one loss, of course, Coach Castellanos' first crack against the Pride last season, a thrilling 5-4 win for the Dragons down at Vitus.
Hofstra was number 14 in the country at that time. Dragons had a phenomenal season a year ago, as of course expected on paper with the amount of top-end players that they returned from the team the year prior under Marciano. Fell to UNCW 2-0 in their semifinal matchup where they did host. And it was the Seahawks who came here to Hempstead to take on the Pride in the championship game, which of course Hofstra won their 4th consecutive. Now looking for 5 straight, which will start next Sunday. Of course, CAA will have all the action for you. Orsford Gregg still working from the back end there, Tom, as Orison picks off the pass. We said before, you wonder when and if they're going to end up moving him up into the play more.
Yeah, definitely curious to see about it. And, you know, there is another guy on their bench who can play center back. At least that's, you know, what we were told sort of in the chat when we talked to Coach Castellanos. And so we'll see if we wind up seeing Matthias Washtalik in the match at some point. I think that would be the logical option to then be able to push Worsfold Gregg further up the field.
Oh, just missing wide right. Really good look. And Hofstra hanging on to this 1-0 lead way back in the 19th minute from Burko. Laurie Goddard looking to continue his goal-scoring streak. He has 4 goals in his last 3 games, 6-game point streak. You want someone that's heating up right at the perfect time. It is that man right there who most likely will be named Player of the Year inside the conference.
And that's where, you know, you can see him being dangerous, right? Not only in the box, but also making those late arriving runs, getting to the top of the box, getting the ball there with a sight at goal. Just couldn't hit the target. But I think for Hofstra, right, you look at some of their top scorers and the way that Burko and Goddard have been playing lately. You want your best players peaking going towards the postseason. Feels like that right now.
Oh, what a move by Burko as he settles down the ball, gets it across to Campisi, but he loses it. Beautifully read by Levi Christie in midfield. Has definitely been a top-end player in this one for the Dragons. Shannon went down, a little slow to get up, but that's a young man that has full of energy. We brought it up before, 5 yellow cards. That is the number, Tom, as to confirm it, so he would not be able to be available for postseason, at least the first game.
Yeah, it would be frustrating, certainly for Drexel, right, if they find a way to sneak in to not have him available. He's been so fun to watch on the ball tonight, and we see, you know, pretty small in stature compared to some of these bigger Hofstra defenders, and took the bump there from Santi, but still a guy who's really, as we said, keeps popping up all over the pitch, you know, deep in his own end, attacking third from the wings, working his way in. Really a fun night to watch Shannon so far.
Barnett. And a missed pass from Pacheco. Quick touch back. Lima Bittencourt. Looking back to midfield. And Santi will let that roll just back to Sean Bohen. Bohen in his 3 games that he played, save percentage of 70, 21 shots faced, 1 goal against. Guy who has the career shutout record and single season goals against record at William Penn in Oskaloosa, Iowa. Goddard, his cross. Looking for the head of Burko. And then running over it and falling down is Orson. Here's a long drive. And Campisi misses well wide left.
And, you know, going back to that last play for Drexel even before that Hofstra chance. A ball up top, and didn't feel like they had a striker up top to claim it, right? So at some point, I think, whether it's Mork that we're going to see up there or perhaps Salvino, who's kind of holding that spot right now, you want to see your forward be able to give you a little bit of that hold-up play, especially if maybe you're coming on the counterattack. Get the hold-up play, work in some of the other players around him. I think that would be a great outlet for Drexel to have. Haven't seen enough of the play up top from anybody in that number 9 position.
Goddard looks around, says, nobody's marking me. All right, give it to me. Hempelman Perez tries to make a move on the touchline, but instead it goes out. Near sideline throw. Gabriel Pacheco. Curls it with the left boot. Back out to midfield. Santi running on. Right on the money to Goddard. Goddard, the drive, and the one-hopper. Bartel was there to smother.
That's the second time now already in this second half that we've seen Goddard popping up around the 18-yard box with a chance to shoot.
Trying to go up and over. Pacheco takes it to the near sideline, and it will be a goal kick.
And we'll take another look at the shot here, and quick one-hopper in there that Bartel able to make the stop on. And again, though, if I'm Drexel, to me, a little bit concerning that Goddard keeps popping up into those areas where he can be very dangerous. So, you want to make sure maybe it's Christie, the defensive midfielder there that we have come to expect from Drexel. Maybe it's him who's got to do a better job of just keeping an extra eye on Goddard and making sure that he's not finding himself free in those areas.
Most outstanding player in the CAA championship, second team selection a year ago, and then the preseason player of the year named in August, and played like it essentially every game this season.
Yeah, I mean, those game-winning goal numbers that he has, right, leading the country with 6. He's been leading it for a lot of the season. I can remember early in the season he was leading with, I think, 3 in the first couple of matches. So it just feels like he has had that knack all season long for not only coming up with goals, but big goals as well that become the game winners for this Hofstra team.
Transfer from Merrimack. Hempelman Perez cuts in field, drives it, and a 2-hopper to goal again as Bartel was there. Bowled out on the left side.
Yeah, it's still one-way traffic right now. Dan, shots 10-0 for Hofstra. So again, this Drexel team, it's winning in, but only a win. So they're going to need at least 2 goals tonight, and so far have not been able to test either of the 2 Hofstra keepers up to this point. So going to have to start to be more aggressive. You mentioned it, right? At what point are they going to have to start throwing bodies forward? Well, I mean, you're starting to run out of time, right? You're coming up on about 30 minutes or so left in this game. You don't have a shot. To me, that maybe is the time. At this point, you got to try something different, a new wrinkle to get bodies forward and get some action going towards the Hofstra goal.
That was some of the longest possession we've seen working from the back as they were able to get their numbers up. See if that was a little strain on the Hofstra D. Back to the edge of the box. Orson clears it out to midfield. Burko. Goddard takes those big, long strides in midfield as he still controls the ball. It's so impressive to watch.
Very difficult to knock off the ball. The size certainly helps, I think.
Hempelman Perez, ricochet, doesn't reach cage. Pablo, little stutter step, lost the ball for a moment. Shannon gains it back for the Pride. Has to go past 3 defenders instead of making the pass, and Campisi now moves to the left side, steals it away. Hempelman Perez to Campisi. Works with the left, crosses the head, and just over the bar from Goddard.
And, we just had a great look at it, right? Here's the example. Shannon is here. He only has 1 player ahead of him because Drexel is so busy defending deep because Hofstra has the ball, right? So then he loses the ball because he has no options going forward, and it's short field for Hofstra. They come back quickly, and it leads to a great chance. The header, unfortunately, just couldn't be kept on target. But again, at some point, you're going to need to give more outlets. If Shannon is there, he wants to run. He's looking for players ahead of him, and right now he's got nobody. There was 1 player up top for him to try to go for. And so, again, it just, to me, speaks volumes about Drexel. Need to get more bodies forward at some point. They just made a couple of changes here. We'll see if maybe that can start to liven things up for them a bit on the attacking side.
A little less than a half an hour remaining of game time and potentially the season. Hofstra looking to extend their win streak. The substitutions with Talsik, who is a center back out of Norway, the sophomore, who has now appeared in the last 5 games. Exactly like you said before, Tom, expecting maybe to come on here in the second half. And Pachulis is the other one who returns. Or excuse me, actually Pachulis is, yeah, Pachulis returns for Mork.
Yeah, and so again, now it'll be interesting to see, right? They bring on that other center back that we talked about before, maybe is going to allow Worsfold Greg to get further up the field, and it looks like already now we're starting to see number 8 in blue. That's the man to watch, playing a little bit higher up the field. We'll see if they can get him on the ball. You know, we heard all about his delivery, his ability to pick players out, the set pieces, all that kind of stuff. Now we want to see him get on the ball in the middle third, in the final third, and see if he can help unlock the defense, because we haven't seen enough of that so far from Drexel.
Franku is possessed. Quick restart here for Hofstra, and it ends up actually hurting them. I don't think everyone was really ready for that. And now there's a player down all the way back on the other end. I don't know if something happened when we weren't watching. Sean Bohan's way out there also to have a conversation, trying to say he kicked him. And Stephen Roach and Richard Nuttall both saying it. It's Santi who went down, and they're going to take a look. First year of VAR here in Division I men's soccer, and we'll see what ends up coming from it.
I think it may have been Salvino. He's been the man up top for most of the second half so far. I believe he was the one that would have been involved with the Hofstra player, and so it'll be interesting. To me, I mean, a lot of signs. You see how far Bohan obviously came out of his goal to implore the referee to look at it. The Hofstra bench obviously seemed pretty upset about it, so.
And Stephen Cope says, no, nothing. Might just not be enough evidence for it. It's getting tense here between these two groups. They've always played tight, competitive games. I mean, you know this anyway. You play a team twice in one season, you know it's going to end up being very physical, especially by the second one. But even more so when you have a playoff-like atmosphere and a team that's playing for their lives.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, right, doing the research for this game, that Hofstra has played no team more in their history than this Drexel team, so they know each other really well. New York against Philly, you know, we got some of that rivalry already baked into it, but yeah, I think now adding in that second go-around as part of the new divisional format, right, it's just going to make those second games even that much more chippy and physical at times, and the two teams, you know, really bringing some of that rivalry spirit, and then, as you said, factor in the fact that it is a playoff game, essentially, and of course, no surprise to see this intensity that we're seeing so far tonight.
Speaking of New York and Philly, you know, yesterday being Halloween, right, kids coming to the door, I still have my Giants flag up. I needed something scary outside, right? Something that's been really, really scary. So one family comes up, dad says, yeah, let's go Giants. I'm like, yeah, I know, whatever. You know, we're talking for just a minute. Another dad comes and goes, oh, Maria, come take a look at this. Go tell him something. And she goes, go Birds. And I said, what is this? We're on Long Island. At least the mom said she was from Philly, so I'll give her that. But what's going on with this rivalry? Campisi, far side, long cross, and out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick.
Giants fan got to be happy with the season split though with Philly, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's look at our scores here. Charleston with a 1-0 lead, so that's good for Elon, and it's good for Campbell. Don't forget. That does matter. So UNCW down 1-0. Again, Elon win, and they take the South Division. If both teams lose or both teams draw, Elon goes to 2, UNCW 3, Campbell wins the South. So it does matter. Every single one of these games matters. And that's also why, Tom, right, like you never want to give up those late games. You know, look back at Hofstra season. So many of the players saying their favorite moment this year was the comeback against Stony Brook. Now, on paper, it wouldn't have mattered even if Stony Brook won the game, and it wouldn't have mattered even if they draw it. Hofstra still would have won the North Division, but it would have made a huge impact here for Drexel and Monmouth. You look back with Monmouth, for example, right? They get a win here in the 83rd minute or so at Hofstra, and now they're sitting in the 3rd seed because of those 3 points. So it really matters. Every single one of these means so much more now.
Yeah, and that's just been, you know, kind of what we've seen from Drexel down the stretch, right? 3 losses, 3 draws. Coach Castellanos telling us a few of those games, the draws should have been a win, or the losses could have been a draw, and 1 or 2 extra results in that group along the way, and maybe, you know, they're already clinched, and they don't have to fight on this last day for a playoff spot. So, but again, that's part of the learning process. He talked about it being a 2-year process with how many new players they're integrating, and, you know, really going with 10, sometimes 11 different starters from last year's starting 11, with the injury to Petulis that we've seen as well. So it's just going to take some time to get a lot of these transfers and newcomers fully up to speed.
You're only playing 8 conference games, and you play every team twice. So it definitely has changed the competitive balance here. Burko tries to sandwich his way through 2 defenders. He'll get the advantage, not the booking.
Well, Shannon's already got 1, so it's probably going to take a little bit more than that for the referee to want to give him a second yellow. We'll take a look at it here. But, yeah, a great call by you, right? Trying to split those 2 and just kind of the doors sort of closing in front of him there. Shannon and Worsfold, Greg, just giving him the sandwich, as you called it. So now a good set-piece opportunity for Hofstra, and Drexel will have to defend well inside the area.
67th minute. Punched out. Bartel sends it all the way to the far side. And then Petulis tries to get to it before it goes out. Instead, it'll be a throw-in. And Orison will take his time over there, the Icelandic native.
And I think Bartel's done a great job of that, right? We've seen him be super aggressive tonight. He's come for a lot of those long balls into the box, and for the most part, I don't think he's gotten one wrong, really. He comes for it, he gets it. He gets a punch, or he makes the grab.
And it's going to be an offside. Called very early on.
Well, the way they're going back to it, I think they may have called that a foul throw, because it came back as another throw, in which, you know, I think sometimes we wonder, is Orison over the line, right, when he's launching those or things like that?
You don't see it happen very often.
No, not very often at all, but perhaps the assistant, maybe Drexel's bench kind of gave him the heads up to watch for it, but he must have seen something he didn't like from that throw-in and decided to bring it back for a foul throw, and now we'll see what the stoppage is here. Perhaps an explanation for the Hofstra bench as to why that was called back, or...
Ball has to be behind the line as it's thrown in.
Or maybe Sean Foster being too vocal. Can you imagine?
There will be no Fozzie slander on this broadcast. And the all-time greats out of this program. And he'll be staying on as assistant coach next year for Stephen Roach. That was kind of the whole thing this year that Richard Nuttall even said. He goes, you know, it's the 3 of us kind of decide together. He goes, I do have the final say, but the 3 of us kind of work together. And one of the reasons he also wanted to stay around, where he's going to be taking a desk job for at least a few years before he officially calls it quits, is he wants to still be there as part of a transition. So you won't see him on the sideline in the coaching spot, and he won't be obviously addressing the team or anything of that factor, but he still is going to be involved, and of course he'll always be there. He said Roach has been ready for a long time. He really has, and it's his time to now take the reins of this program, which Nuttall has really developed into one of the best in the nation.
And it must be just such a great resource, right, for Roach to have somebody with over 30 years of experience that he can kind of pick Coach Nuttall's brain at any point, even at, you know, as we said, next season when he does take over, just to have a little bit of a sounding board, and him and Fozzie can kind of, again, work together and still have Coach Nuttall as an asset to pick his brain a little bit as they sort of, you know, try to put their own stamp on this program.
Roach was named the coach in waiting last year. It was Kind of quiet the way it happened. They didn't want to make a big deal about it, but it did happen. Here's a chance. It's going to be offside.
And that was something clearly a set play design, right? Something off the training ground, as they like to say. The short ball to Shannon, and then he plays that ball over the top, trying to get, I think it was Pachulis involved, and unfortunately he just strayed a little bit past that last defender. Offside flag came up, but really nice set piece design there and almost turned into something for Drexel.
Hempelman Perez out, Bozina back on. When Bozina plays, he really does make a good impact for this group. Only played 381 minutes in 15 games. But when he's out there, he's tenacious in the midfield. Pretty good defender for a more offensive-minded player. And good at forcing turnovers. Right off the shin of Thiago and goes out of bounds. So it'll be a deep throw in here for Hofstra in their own end. As the referee, you can hear it on our mics yell, right there.
Better from Drexel, right? You will see a bit more of a high press now. And again, no time like the present. 20 minutes left, looking for 2 goals. So you have to press higher up the field, try to close down those Hofstra defenders, see if you can pin them deep in their own end here from that deep throw-in. And now taking over with Christie.
Shannon. Barnett. Good play on his end, getting to Goddard, but Goddard can't make the move down the left side. Ricochets back as Bozina putting the pressure on as he normally does. 3 players there. Campisi will win the ball because Francoux is there to help. Hits his outlet in Goddard. Goddard, here on the left side. Looking back for Laurie from Campisi, stays in play. Under 20 minutes remaining of regulation. A foul in a good spot here. And it will be a card as well. See who it goes to.
Yeah, my sense is it's for something that was said away from the ball because he didn't seem to show it to number 7, which was Lima Bittencourt. So instead, I think he shows it to Worsfold Greg for something that he must have said off the ball. But a little bit too much of a pull there from Lima Bittencourt, and now a dangerous set-piece opportunity for Hofstra.
Campisi, good cross. Was looking for Santi. Campisi. Back to midfield. Santi. Bozina actually. And he's going to be given a card. So Aaron Bozina picks up his 2nd yellow of the year.
Yeah, and just really no reason to do it, right? I mean, the Drexel player was settled under it, clearly waiting for that ball to drop into him, and just kind of came right through the back of him. So I'm sure that's probably what the referee, in his mind, made it easy to go for that yellow card. Now we'll see if someone on the Hofstra bench is going to get one.
And yep, that will do it. So Fozzie asking, is that me? Yes, that is you. How many yellow cards did he have in his career? We should look that up.
I was going to say earlier, I don't think a lot of referees, Dan, probably had to wonder where they stood with Fozzie because I'm sure he probably let them know. Such a great captain and leader and center back for this Hofstra Pride team during his playing days, and certainly one of the most vocal center backs that I can recall watching, and always seemed to be in the referee's ear at times. Right now, this suits Hofstra, just kind of ping-ponging back and forth, and Drexel having a hard time getting on the ball. Here's a chance, though.
Good look, and a brace. Burko with 2. He has been unstoppable during this win streak for Hofstra. Doubles the lead for the Pride, and that may have slayed the Dragons' season. 2-0.
Yeah, and it was something we talked about before, right? I mean, at some point we knew Drexel was going to have to start pushing some numbers forward, and that inevitably is going to leave you a bit more exposed at the other end on the counter. And this was really a textbook counter from Hofstra. I mean, super quick ball movement, really superb through ball there, and opens up for the second of the game for Burko. So just really nice stuff from Hofstra, playing the ball on the ground. Basana heavily involved. As you said before, he seems to make an impact when he comes off the bench, and that was a sublime ball right there. Made it easy 1v1 with the keeper, and Burko just able to slide it home.
Second of the game, 11th of the season. He is now the leading goal scorer in the conference, not even just on his team anymore. But there's going to be, that's a good goal still. There was VAR on it, so they wanted to double check. It is a good goal, so count that one, 11th of the year. Burko, who, as we mentioned before, had just 3 goals in his year at Syracuse, has 11 here for Hofstra. And for the Pride, Goddard, with his 10 goals, the first player in a few years since Ryan Carmichael in the 23 season didn't have any 10-goal scorers last year. So Carmichael was that last guy. Now they have 2 players who have double-figure goals. And it's Daniel Burko, who's the leading goal scorer for this team with 11.
We touched on it a little bit before, right, Dan? But looking to become the first teammates to finish 1-2 in goals and points in the CAA since another couple of Hofstra guys, Elliot Goldthorpe and Ryan Carmichael, back in 2022.
Pretty good names to be a part of. During the 7-game win streak, there's been 11 different goal scorers. But Daniel Burko now has 7 goals during the last, count this as 8 games. So 7 goals over his last 8 games, along with 4 helpers. Under 17 minutes to play, and Hofstra is closing in on an 8-game win streak if they can hang on to this, which, if they do, is already the longest win streak since 2021. Now, I'd say win streak is Burko. Let's see if he can try and get 3 today. Burko, the cross, and he couldn't hit his man, and Basana cleared back out the near sideline. The last time they won 8 consecutive games, won them, was the 1997 season on an 11-game win streak, one that ended in the America East Championship loss to BU. But they had an unbeaten streak of 17 on that magical 2021 team. Of course, unbeaten meaning they did have a draw in between. Alexei Armis will return. And look at those numbers. I mean, that's a lot of goals being scored, especially the last number of games. Goddard, if he's onside, gets it on. It is stopped by Bartel, but the entire Dragon team on an offside call on it.
That's why they say you got to play to the whistle, right? That's exactly what Goddard did. Waited to see if their flag was going to come up. He kept playing it out, and the flag never came. Now a corner kick for Drexel, and again, it's starting to feel at this point like they got to get something now. It's got to be a goal now to at least give them a chance, because now they need 3.
Still don't have a shot on goal. Julius intercepted. Horsford Gregg. He now possesses a midfield. Started his time at Houston Christian University. OVC first team selection, but career highs in goals, assists, and points this year, and 6th in the conference in points. Was 4th in assists coming into today. Shannon volleys it up and sends it down the right side to Salvino, but Alexei Armis takes it away. Strong physical player. Christie. And now Shannon tries a through ball, but not on the same page as Salvino. Pacheco will just send it down this near side. Lots of jersey tugging on that one for Daniel Burko from Camejo, a freshman who has been excellent this year, averaging 89 minutes per game.
Yeah, and I know, of course, the situation matters, right? But it does feel almost a little bit hard to believe that Syracuse couldn't get a little bit more out of Burko, right? A team coming off a national championship season a couple of seasons ago, and Burko just everything's a little time and place, I guess, right? You have to be in the right situation, given the right opportunities, everything like that, the right chemistry. But he's really been able to unlock something with Hofstra this season and been a huge factor in their success.
One of the best physical times in their preseason testing ever in this program's history. Pacheco from distance and sends it over the bar. There's a player down in midfield. It is Armis. And that will stop the clock. Alexei, whose brother played at Adelphi, he played at Adelphi. Of course, you brought up before his dad. National team experience, that coach in the MLS, is here today here for senior day, but Alexei just a grinder, lunch pail kind of hard-working Long Island kid who loves this sport.
He's also got a knack for some set pieces. Seen him hit a couple during his time here.
Park intercepts. Now runs and sends a through ball down the left side. And down by 2, under 13 minutes to play. Chipped up into the air. Bohen is there. It's not an official shot on goal. Sean Bohen, who again started the second half. Cervoni started the first as he did the prior 12 games.
It really hasn't had much to be tested with, I guess you could say, so far. So coming in, and it's good to getting that rhythm back in game action, using his feet quite a bit, which we said is one of his strengths, but in terms of the shot stopping, has not been tested.
Goddard takes a step with room, drives it wide left. Boy, it's always scary when he has some space to step into one.
That would have really been a showstopper, I think, to put kind of the icing on the cake here. Steps inside his man. You see the referee playing advantage, just looking for the curler towards that far post and just didn't quite get the bend on it. But again, I think he's looked super dangerous in the second half, especially, even if, maybe it's not showing in the goal or assist column tonight. I think he's had a nice game.
Armis, furious as is Burko. And he calls over Shannon. This will be a stern talking to. It seems like instead of a booking, which would disqualify him from the game for 2 yellow cards. Sometimes that stern talking to is worse.
Yeah, I think, again, got there a little bit late, certainly, but wasn't any lunging legs or no studs exposed, nothing that, again, would have made it really easy for the referee to give that second yellow. So just keeps it in the pocket, and now we'll get to see the dead ball prowess here of Armis.
Armis with the right foot. Hartel is there. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here, put you in the mind of Stephen Cope, but do you think no card that ends up becoming one if he didn't have one already?
Yeah, that's I think a lot of people would make that argument, right? Like, why is the second yellow maybe a different criteria than the first yellow is? But of course, the second yellow is really a red card. So in that sense, I think, referees tend to give it a little bit more added weight. And yeah, I think he's had a number of fouls tonight. So even if you didn't want to say just for that one foul, you probably could say, well, he's had 3 or 4 of them. So persistent infringement, that's its own yellow card. But again, to get the second yellow on something like that, I think probably that plays in the referee's mind as maybe not being quite enough.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun to watch him play in this conference the next couple of years.
Yeah, and that's the thing for Drexel, right? Because of how much rebuilding they're doing, they got a lot of young pieces.
Hark just misses wide right. Best chance, and it actually got deflected, so corner will come. That was a real good look from downtown.
Yeah, it looks like an impressive player there too, right? You see good footwork coming from Germany. They really tend to develop technical players there, and just missing wide on the shot.
Native from Frankfurt, doesn't have a goal yet in his freshman campaign. He does have 2 assists. This one has to be played all the way back out. And Bartel has to move out to midfield. And this is kind of the spot where I feel like you had to move those numbers up. With 10 on the other half of the field, there'll be a foul against the Dragons, though. And 9 minutes and counting in this second half. Hofstra holding a 2-0 lead on 2 Burko goals. Second bounce gets to Barnett. Barnett. And Barnett, not the biggest guy you're going to see on the field, but he can still defend off the best around him. So foul call, and Alexei will stand over it with Jack Shannon taking his 10 yards back. Four in the box for Hofstra on this one. 2 on the edge of it. Francoux sends it towards goal. Bartel there. And the senior will send it back out to midfield. The phenomenal freshman towards for Greg. And got the start at center back today. Normally a midfielder. More of an attacking midfielder for this group. Left side, Christostomou heads it to Santi, who heads it right back to him. Doesn't reach him, and instead, Christostomou will send it out to midfield off the body of Shannon. It takes a long way and springboards back to Bohen, who will now settle down the Pride here.
Yeah, creative little touch there from Shannon, right? Kind of going with that shoulder shimmy, sending that one forward. And just unfortunately for him, nobody on the Dragons able to kind of get on the end of that one.
And you see Bohen there with the captain's armband. You don't see very often a guy transfer in and already be a captain of their team. Just shows you the kind of leadership and respect that he has earned from this group in a short time. And if he is back, or at least 100% or close to it, I mean, it really does kind of change the element here for Hofstra going forward, and kind of maybe, I guess, can scare a couple of other teams a little bit more, because he is a different type of goalie with how good he is at moving the ball from the back end.
Yeah, I think, you know, to talk about the first part, right, the leadership, the goalkeeper has that unique vantage point all the way back of the field, and become organizers of the defense. They can let them know, you know, when there's something that they don't see maybe from that unique vantage point. And yeah, as far as his actual play style, right, I think it does give Hofstra that unique element, someone that they can help facilitate possession. The center backs will be very confident going back to him to use his feet. He can use his feet to even play some of those long balls. Maybe he sees a player running in behind. I think it could open up a couple of you know, unique ways of playing out of the back that maybe they don't get as much from Cervoni. So it will be an interesting decision, I think, for Coach Nuttall to decide, you know, do you go with the guy who's been, you know, steady all season long, or go with the guy who started the season and maybe, you know, you initially thought was going to be the lockdown starter, but maybe hasn't had as much playing time in recent months in Bohan.
Native from Ireland, NAIA All-American. Francoux clears it back out to midfield. And someone that they felt coming from William Penn, between his leadership and vocal nature. Also 2 years at Northern Kentucky, should mention. He was a red shirt and didn't really see any action when he was there, but he was excellent for the Statesman, national runner-up in the NAIA level as this misses wide. And Santi not happy with how things are transpiring. I'm not sure if he's yelling at the referee or not. He might be. And we'll have Caleb Williams make an appearance, a guy who's also making his final season. Top player for Franklin Pierce in the Northeast 10 Conference, first team selection, was on 2 Division II national championship teams, and here he makes his 6th appearance of the season.
Yeah, the Ravens had a pretty good run, back-to-back national titles and an NCAA record 63-game unbeaten streak at one point. So they've really established themselves as a D2 power.
Good ball. Here's Goddard. They have plenty of numbers. Williams. Caleb Williams with the right foot. Oh, what a save by Bartel. Williams put on a good one from 20 yards out.
Yeah, felt like, they handed him the script. They said, go get this goal. You just came into the match, basically your first touch. And what a hit it was, and an outstanding save from Bartel at full stretch. And this one had some venom on it, that's for sure. It's dipping, it's going down and away from the keeper. That is a top save from Bartel.
Corner kick, 4 minutes to go. Armis with the right foot. Sends it to the middle. Settled down by Goddard. He crosses it. Boy, he was looking for Burko. Or maybe Jevic. Thiago Lima Bittencourt. They need 3 goals in 3.5 minutes. And 3 players fanning on it. Boy, you don't really see that often. 3 players fanned on the ball, and Bohan is able to just scoop it up.
Yeah, I know it's tough, right? I mean, sometimes as a forward, you're almost forced to think like, hey, maybe I have to play it as if the defender is going to swing and miss on this one. It can be hard to do, but if they had any player back there, right, 3 swings and misses basically for Hofstra, could have been a chance for one of the Drexel players to be through on goal.
Burko can't get there in time. Bartel had to make the aggressive play.
Very similar situation there. Gets through 2 Drexel players, maybe a miscommunication, and nearly springs Burko through.
Somehow they get the ball to Williams. Williams, and this will be a throw-in. 2.5 to play. Two subs coming on. Daniel Burko's day is done. A brace for him. And Goddard also will head off. Both to an excellent applause here from the faithful. David Adekboroya, who started the first 3 games of the year, he comes on. Also playing in his senior day.
Yeah, nice moment to get that dynamic duo. A little bit of a round of applause here at the end of the regular season.
And Jan Jelicic will step onto the field as well. Another one of the seniors, all-rookie team member a couple of the years back when he was at Stony Brook. Williams. It almost hits our camera over there in the corner. Careful with that thing. Under 2 minutes to play. So Hofstra against Stony Brook. They saw them twice. They beat them here at home. They went out to Stony Brook, down a goal, and able to come back and get a huge victory, one that they all mentioned even this past week, how, it was kind of the moment of the year for them. So that's one potential team that you would end up playing. And the other one, of course, if this score holds up, would end up being Monmouth. Now, Monmouth, you were scoreless with for 80+ minutes. You gave up a goal late, but then you go down there last weekend and you absolutely, take care of business with the 4-1 win. So those are the 2 teams that you're dealing with, possibly next Sunday.
Yeah, and again, Monmouth, a team that has played Hofstra well. Stony Brook, that Long Island rivalry built in. So either way, feels like an interesting matchup.
Christostomu. Bazina. Adekboroya. Back to Bazina with under a minute to go. David Adekboroya. Stutter step, left shot, and misses wide. This will go to goal as Bartel, who made some good looks early on, keeping these Dragons in this game. This one he didn't have to deal with. With 15 seconds to play. Franku looking for Williams. Headed on. Back the other direction. Jevic heads it back to Pacheco, and Hofstra is red hot going into the CAA championships. 8 consecutive wins for the Pride. Longest win streak since 1997. And next weekend on Captain's Field, they'll look to defend their CAA championship for the 4th consecutive time and attempt to win their 9th title in their program's history in the CAA. Daniel Burko with both goals. Pietro Santi and the back end played really well, and lots of embraces for Sean Bohan, who I'm sure means so much for him to get back onto the pitch for the first time since the 3rd game of the season. As Hofstra takes it 2-0, outshot them 17-2 in a really physical playoff-style game between the Dragons and the Pride. As for Drexel, their season comes to an end. They will not qualify for the championship. They drop to 4-6-6 and 2-5-1 in conference play. So that will end their season. And in the North, it is all set. The Hofstra as the 1 seed. They will host next Sunday. It'll be Monmouth as the 3 seed going on the road to take on Stony Brook. And just saw there Richard Nuttall, one final home game here at Captain's Field, and those are the final standings in the North Division. So Stony Brook, Monmouth Thursday out in Suffolk County, and then the winner comes here to take on Hofstra. If Hofstra wins and advances to the finals, they will host it here at home because they've had accumulated the most points of all the teams in the CAA. Richard Nuttall's final year of his 37. Another successful one, his 12th win of the season. 362nd career victory for Richard Nuttall. As Richie looks on, they honored him a couple of weeks ago. And here he is in his final year, just adding more and more wins to the mark and looking to see if he can add another championship as well. As the players will be with each other, we'll talk to Daniel Burko. Here's Tom with him.
Here with Daniel Burko. Daniel, 2 goals tonight, 8 straight wins for Hofstra. How are you guys feeling after that one?
Obviously, it feels really good. We have momentum going, but as coach said, we have achieved nothing right now. There's still postseason to come, national championship. We have lots to play for, so we just have to keep focused and keep working hard until postseason.
For you, now 11 goals tonight, 10 for your strike partner, Laurie Goddard. Has that been a fun rivalry going back and forth, seeing who might end up as the leader at the end of the regular season here?
I mean, most people see us as a rivalry, and I mean, we got 21 goals. We're just trying to win everything. I mean, I'm happy for him, he's happy for me. We're just having fun out there together.
A clean sheet tonight. How did you think the defense played tonight?
I mean, I think our defense has been our backbone the whole season. Really, they've been solid every game, so it's very nice having the comfort of having them behind there when we're not doing as good forward.
And you mentioned, obviously, still a lot to play for, right? Postseason, you guys are hosting here on your home field where you've been so good. What has to go right for you guys to get that CAA championship and an NCAA tournament?
Well, obviously, it's going to be tough games. Every game's a tough game here in college and the CAA. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. Every game, stick to our tactics, work hard, train hard, and play hard.
All right, again, 2 goals for Daniel Burko. Daniel, congratulations on this one, and go enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Dan, back up to you.
21 of the 31 goals this season have been scored by Daniel Burko or Laurie Goddard. Really, really impressive from those 2 men. Burko, the transfer from Syracuse, and an excellent showing here in his Hofstra season as he'll look to give the Pride their 5th straight CAA title. Take a look at the final stats here. 17-2 shots, 8-0 shots on goal, 4-2 in terms of corners. It was a physical game as you look at those numbers and fouls, but overall it's still Hofstra that comes away with a 2-0 victory, and they will be back at it next Sunday for the CAA semifinals. Well, real fun one here from Captain's Field. The Pride with a 2-0 win for everyone at Hofstra Sports Media. My partner, Tom Verdi. I'm Dan Savarino saying thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Welcome to Landtech, the leader in sports athletic construction for over 44 years. We design, we build, we win. From vision to victory, from the street to the pros. Landtech's passion for sports and construction drives us to deliver championship-level results every time. With Landtech, you get a construction and design powerhouse. From blueprints to bleachers, grass to gridiron. We build communities, careers, and champions from the ground up. We are Landtech.
Bring color to life with the very best paint, only at Sherwin-Williams.